Are you ready to step into the abyss and open old wounds?
Always.
All right. April 2020. The internet sort of came after you for a little bit. In your own words, what happened?
What happened was I was doing a draw stream with Jessica Clay Sheffield. We were talking about random stuff and having a conversation with the chat. I don't remember what we were drawing at the time, but somebody in the chat noticed that Jessica had said she didn't like Lilo and Stitch. And Jessica explained her case, and she's an extremely analytical person, and she's fantastic at like picking apart what about a story will make it last through generations. And so she gives her full spiel, and I'm sitting here mostly listening, piping in occasionally with, my own thoughts or whatever. But mostly I'm drawing in the background, and I'm drawing a picture of myself eating popcorn in the background while Jessica is in the front doing like, and that's why Lilo and Stitch is the worst Disney movie ever made in the foreground of the image. I posted that image on Tumblr and on Twitter, and somebody was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't like Lilo and Stitch? I respond, mistake number 2. Mistake number 1 was posting it on Tumblr. Mistake number 2 was responding to this question. As I have since learned that most people who ask stuff like that aren't interested in your answer. They're interested in you saying something that they can use against you. So I answer it in earnest, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try to keep it brief. I'm going to fail to do so. But this is basically the spiel. Now, I didn't mention immediately in that spiel that these were mostly Jessica's thoughts. So this was entirely me speaking her words as though they were my own. Huge mistake number 3. And I was extremely harsh in the way that I had phrased them as well. I was like making the case that not only was the movie bad and had a bad message, that you should be careful about people who have taken that message and reflected it into their own lives. Now, that's not factually incorrect as such, as far as I'm concerned, but I'm talking to a whole swath of people who have grown up with that movie as an integral part of their lives. So not only do I post it on Tumblr, I post it on Twitter too, thinking like, oh, this is a pretty good write-up. I did a pretty decent job. Holy shit. It doesn't hit very well, first off, but then this Marvel artist, Jen something or other, I don't remember. She's a comic book cover artist primarily for Marvel. And she's got hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter. And she retweets the spiel with basically, this bitch is racist and anti-Hawaiian and anti-children. And oh my God, the dog pile from there, just, I probably don't need to explain it from then on. You've seen Twitter dog piles.
I remember when it got. I was there when it happened. I saw when you were on Twitter and you made the post. I saw it and I was like, okay, fair enough. And then I went to sleep, and then I woke up the next day, or
the next morning.
Yeah, it was like either the next morning or the next couple of days. I was just on Twitter doing nothing, and I saw off to the side, Lilo and Stitch, and I was like, what a strange coincidence. Yep. And then I clicked on it, and oh my God, there you were.
Yep, everywhere. I was everybody's mortal enemy for about a week, which was spectacular in hindsight. But at the time, not to say nothing like that had ever happened to me, because I had been canceled twice before. Once for, God, something about mystery skulls. It was, somebody didn't like the fact that I didn't ship the 2 main guy characters in that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get too far into that, but there was a call out post then. And it happened again later when somebody was really mad that I had laughed at somebody using Google Translate for speaking Spanish, which that was like, all right, well, it wasn't a huge deal, but I'll apologize for that because, yeah, that's kind of mean-spirited. Didn't matter. Apologies never work with this kind of thing. That's not what they're interested in. But so when Twitter happened, I had never had it happen to me on that scale. When it's the first time happening to, like, I'm just like word salading at you, but the first time that kind of thing happens to you, it feels like the world wants you dead, because a lot of people do. I received a metric ton of death threats. So did Jess, because, you know, she got dragged into it as well, because I mentioned her at some point. And, you know, the number of racial slurs being hurled at us for being white howly bitches is like, wow, who's the racist here? But, you know, all kinds of accusations. I had to inform my workplace, like, hey guys, this is happening right now. What do you want me to do? And they were like, just take down the post. You know, that's the best we can give you for advice, but maybe lay low for a while online. And to their credit, they didn't, you know, punish me in any way, but they did make me take down the post, which I later realized that was a mistake too, because then it looks like a backtracking.
Why would, this is probably a stupid question, but why would your company care?
Why would they indeed? Why would they indeed?
I'm sure there's a good answer. What's the answer?
Well, the good answer, there is no good answer.
Okay.
There is an answer. And the answer is that entertainment companies care too much about politics these days. I don't know how much you want to chase that rabbit into the hole, but I could chase it for hours.
Oh, please chase away.
But simply put,
I've seen clips from Steven Universe, and I'm like, why? Kids don't understand this complicated social stuff.
Case in point. It's exactly that though. Like if you understand that, I probably don't need to explain further. A lot of these companies are too concerned with political optics from people who are not their purported target audience. Like, sorry, the Tumblrites and Twitterites should not be the people you're pandering your children's cartoons to, but that's what's happening. Because everybody wants to be taken seriously by the nouveau, new age crowd, not realizing that it's always been the kind of rebellious crowd that drives the way that content goes over the years. And right now, the rebellious crowd doesn't like any of that stuff. So that's the short version of it. That's the reason why the studio was concerned. I laid low for a couple of months. For about a month, I was having some very dark thoughts. And that's not to be dramatic or anything, but it was just like, that's where you go when you feel like you're being chased by the entire world. You're like, would it be better if I wasn't here? You know, thank God I realized, no, that's stupid. But I can see how certain people would be bullied into submission that way. And that's exactly what these people's tactics are. They want you to do it. They don't want to have it on their hands, but it is on their hands. So that's the whole sordid story behind cancellation number 1. And cancellation number 2 happened about a year later when some chick who already hated me from the Mystery Skulls fandom decided that she was going to out me for having a Parler account, which wasn't a secret. And she's like, oh my God, you see, she's a right-wing extremist on Parler. I'm like, chill, I'm only posting art there. But it was enough. And it actually got me kicked off the Mystery Skulls animated team, full of people who I thought were very good friends, who very rapidly changed their tune. Most of them broke contact with me instantly. And the one who stayed in contact with me for a little bit kept trying to spin the conversation so that it was my fault. Yeah, that's basically the story. I'm actually kind of grateful that it all happened, because it's like, yeah, you know what? That's how you know who your actual friends are and who the people are who are going to stick with you. And it also tells you in a roundabout way what you should be focusing your energy on. Because if you're in an environment with that's full of these kinds of people who don't care about you, chances are whatever it is you're working on with them are going to reflect those negative values than the ones that you should, rather than the ones that you should be reflecting.